Hello，大家好，我是 Jackie 啊。今天呢，我们要做一个极速问答啊。那这个问答呢有些特别啊，不是我去给大家回答问题啊，是我邀请了一位特别的嘉宾啊。这也是我采访过汽车圈里人最重要的一位人物啊。我先卖个关子啊，他是一位 F1 车手，他是一位巴西车手，而且呢是2届的世界冠军啊。而且距离他第一次夺冠呢，刚好50周年。如果你知道他是谁的话呢，你先把他的名字打在这个公屏上啊。好了啊，给点时间大家把他名字打出来啊。好了啊，时间到啊，没错呢，他就是来自于这个巴西的车手啊 Fittipaldi。那他第一次夺冠呢是驾驶这个 Lotus 的 Type 72。那为什么有这个采访呢？是因为这个 Lotus 啊刚刚推出了一个 Fittipaldi 的特别版的 Evija 啊，所以呢就有幸邀请到他来回答一些关于赛车的问题啊。我们到底老的车手跟新的车手有什么不一样呢？啊，这个 F1 的这些年的变化，然后还有就是他作为一个车手的心路历程啊。你要知道啊，这位车手呢祖孙3代啊。都是车手，这个全家都是车手的这个家族真的很少见啊，我也很激动啊，马上要跟他连线了。
This is Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
Hello, Mr. Fittipaldi. It's my great honor to have this interview with you.
Thank you, Jack. We're here enjoying the beautiful car, fantastic car, very special car, very special.
We have some questions from our fans and your fans in China.
Go ahead, it'll be a pleasure.
Thank you. So the first question, Lotus just launched a limited edition named after you. So how do you feel about this?
I'm so honored and so proud to have this unique car, to have my name, to remember 50 years ago, I won the World Championship, only 8 made in the world. Yes. And I'm very proud to be part of this history. Colin Chapman, for me, was my mentor. Lotus is ahead now of Ferrari. They don't have a full electrical hypercar. Looking for the future. It's a fantastic project.
Great to hear that. So my second question is, can you please describe how you felt when, at the age 25, being the youngest world champion? What was the feeling at the time when you hold the championship?
It was a very special day because when I left Brazil to come and race in England, I had my dream to be a Grand Prix driver, Formula One driver. And then when I was invited by Colin Chapman to join Team Lotus, I started looking at the whole history of Team Lotus. So many great champions. I was a great fan of Jim Clark, Graham Hill, Jochen Rindt. And then I realized I could win the World Championship because, it's a very complex sport, Formula One. Designing the car, developing the car, construction of the car, testing, road racing, qualifying, then you have to win. And so much good people behind it. And coming from Brazil and being the first Brazilian world champion, again, was very special for me, for my family, for Brazil. It was a big commemoration, Brazil. We are not as big as China, but we have 350 million people.
First went back home. Was it like a heroic welcome, or how was it?
I'm from São Paulo. São Paulo is like the Beijing of Brazil,
Yeah.
When I arrived from the airport, there was a big, all the way to downtown, to the city hall of São Paulo, to the mayor of São Paulo, to the governor. It was a big commemoration, like football.
Okay.
Because Brazil is very big in football, and now Brazil is very big in motor race. We love the sport. To go back to Brazil as world champion, very special.
Cool. Good to hear that. So, what do you think the main difference between today's F1 races and those of the past? And how do current F1 races differ from the races from your era?
When I start Formula One racing, was much more dangerous first, very high risk because the cars were not strong as they are now. The racetrack was not prepared as they are now. The driver's equipment, the rescue team. And this is one of the biggest difference from that time to this time. And everything was more mechanical, not so much electronical. And now what I call analytics that exists today, because every centimeter on the racetrack, you can measure how much pressure he's using the brake, what's the temperature of the piston, how much is the fuel system working, and all these analytics from the modern world, the change motor race. And the numbers don't lie. In my time, is this driver lying? My time was, for example, I give you an example of Colin Chapman. Colin Chapman was a genius of setting up a car, of making the car better. When I finished practice or qualifying, normally I would have dinner with Colin, just myself and family and Colin. Then Colin asked, how was the car on every corner? And I had to describe, there was no analytics. I had to describe how I was braking, how was the first initial turning of the car, how was mid-corner, how was exit, how was traction. And that was the feeling of the driver. And then Colin, I remember he'd put the two fingers here and start singing. And I knew something good was going to come out, for sure. He had this instinct. You understand instinct?
Yeah, instinct, yes. Just like he knows. He doesn't have
knows.
to analyze.
Yes.
He just knows.
Yes. He has this human instinct, and then he could read, translate what I was feeling on the car, and then he would improve the car. And I knew next day the car was going to be better. Only a few times he could do a exploration system that he never tried before, but most of the time, car was better. And that was the genius of Colin Chapman, not just designing the car, but have this instinct how to improve a car from his feeling. And he was a fantastic guy to do this. And I remember in 1978, end of 77, I was testing. I had my own car for the Brazilian team at that time. And I was on the test track in Paul Ricard, France, but they had the French Grand Prix. And it was at night, December, beginning of December. And then someone knocked on my door, was Colin Chapman. And then Colin said, Emerson, come here, I want to show my ground effect car. And he was very proud. And I look under the car, he said, Emerson, this is on the mid section of the car is a wing upside down. And I'm going to create so much downforce. My car is going to be much better than your car. I said, I know, Colin, but I'm going to copy soon. He was a genius,
If we put a new Formula One driver on your car, or the old Formula One cars, do you think they will drive better than you do? No, never.
Well, it's a very, very good question, because I tell the press, and when I do speeches, presentation about Formula One, if you get the top 4 or 5 drivers from any era of Formula One, from Fangio's time when he was beginning of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and today you get people like Lewis Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc, the new generation of drivers, put on time machine and come back to my time on the 70s, they would be tough. They would be fast, because they are extremely talented. They would drive anything with 4 wheels and fast. I guarantee. A racing driver among the top 4 or 5s in the world has to have extremely talent. He can drive anything, I guarantee.
So if we put you on the time machine, you can be a potential champion right now in 2022, right? I think so.
If I would be on my young age and I would be learning the new technology, and today's driver, they have a different challenge than on my time. High level of driving, today precise, much more than on my time, because they go to the last fraction of second. If you look, the qualifying times now are so close to each other. If you look at the steering wheel of a Formula One car today, there's so many adjustments that the driver has to use during a lap.
Okay.
And that's a very big challenge mentally, because you have to be focused on the track. You have to focus on driving and at the same time adjusting all this I didn't have. I tested Lotus Formula One car from Kimi Häkkinen like 7 years ago, 8 years ago,
okay.
to test a modern Formula One car. And it's interesting. I sat down in the car and start explaining what I have to do. And they explained for 20 minutes, right? I'm just listening. After they explained to me, I went back to them and said, please, do a favor to me. Try to put the best adjustments that exist on the steering wheel that I don't have to touch. And I want to enjoy driving the car only. To me, it was so complex, you know? And that's the difference on driving. But I really enjoyed driving the car. It was incredible downforce, incredible braking. Was very consistent between slow, mid speed and high speed corners. My time, we had to fight more with the cars because now the cars are so detailed, tuned for each corner. That was nearly perfect cars. And it was a fantastic experience to drive. Was a Lotus from Kimi Häkkinen. It was a great experience.
When we're talking about like new cars, like all the adjustments, have you ever driven the new Evija? And like in your perspective, what are the key differences between driving an electric sports car and a petrol sports car?
I drove some electrical cars. I think the electrical cars have tremendous torque because the power comes immediately. I test some electrical cars. To me, are very impressive. And I like, people say, inside the car, you can hear the engine. To me, sounds modern, sounds futuristic, like the Formula E. I was in the race in July, in Brooklyn, New York, with the Formula E. And even outside now, the cars are making more noise. It's a futuristic noise, different from a fuel car. My son, Emo Jr., who's racing Formula 4, he likes Formula Electric from the beginning. When he was in Battersea Park in London, he was 5 years old, 10 years ago. And he said, Daddy, it was fun to watch. We went to a corner. To me, I was missing the noise, but to the new generation like it. It's like a modern noise. I like the electrical cars I drove. I like it. The transmission noise, the engine's different.
We have to get Emerson off, I'm afraid, because we have to go and watch some planes fly over his cars. And Emerson is going to drive the Evija for the first time.
Good drive. It must be an amazing car, I guess. Because when talking about racing, Emerson is so excited. We have like endless speech. I think we can.
I want to drive the car.
And he's going to drive it.
Okay, thank you so much.
So much.
Thank you, Emerson. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good day. Nice drive. 好，今天采访呢就圆满结束了啊。这个其实给Emerson 呢还准备了一些其他的问题，但是他一说起这个各种赛车的这种事情啊，他就非常的兴奋。但时间真的是很赶，因为他马上就要进入他的试以拜的环节了。但是我觉得听听他说一下以前老 F1 赛场上面这些故事呢，还挺有意思的。好了，希望以后呢也有机会继续做一些这种汽车的名人的一些采访，因为我觉得有一些故事啊，就是亲口从他们口中说出来呢。那种感染力啊，不是你在网上读文字能看得出来的。好了，喜欢的话呢，记得要长按点赞3连，我们下次再见，拜拜。